Good evening and welcome to the news across the country. Governor Adeleke counsels on qualities of good leadership. Nigerian Army buries 20 soldiers in Niger State. Fashion news focuses on women and ear accessories. Osun State Governor Senator Ademola Adeleke has reiterated his commitment to infrastructural development of the state, just as he called for peaceful cohabitation among residents regardless of their religious differences. Senator Adeleke made the call at the Osogbo Central Mosque during a special Juma prayer organized to commemorate the 32nd anniversary of the creation of Osun State. Governor's Office correspondent Abdurrahim Adekilekun asked more on her story.
Created on the 27th of August 1992 by the then military government headed by General Ibrahim Babangida, Osun State government has commenced the celebration of the 32nd anniversary of the state's creation. As part of activities lined up for the event, the state governor, Senator Ademola Adeleke, led Muslim faithfuls to observe the weekly 2-rakat Juma prayer at the Osogbo Central Mosque, Ojaoba Osogbo, the state capital. Represented by the Special Advisors on Regional Integration, Barrister Kamal Adeklekun, and his counterpart on political affairs, Alhaji Muniru Raji, Senator Adeleke assured residents of the state that his government will not rest on its oars to ensure even development across the state. Speaking with newsmen after the Jumat prayer, Barrister Kamal Adeklekun said the governor appreciated the current atmosphere of peace and tranquility reigning in the state. According to him, it is only in a peaceful atmosphere that meaningful development can occur. He thereby called on the people to continue to live together peacefully so that his effort to entrench development across the state will yield positive results in no distant time.
As we can see, this is 32 years. 32 years with peaceful coexistence. And the major reason why we are here today is to thank Almighty Allah for giving us this kind of governor, a workaholic governor, a man of peace, a man who believes in the unity of Osun State in general. Allah Adeleke of Osun State is a man who has shut the mouths of his opponents by what he has done within the very short time. You can see in the aspect of road construction, trunk A, B, C, the state, the federal, the local government roads, in every nook and cranny of Osun State. See the health sector. See, even in times of boreholes and the social amenities, a man who doesn't like injustice, a man who is emotional to the cause of justice. So, because of this, we have to thank Almighty Allah for giving us such a very uncommon creature by Almighty Allah.
Barrister Kamal commended the governor for his relentless passion for development, fairness and justice, saying that the governor will continue to guarantee rights and safety of all residents of the state. The governor commended the founding fathers of the state for their foresight, saying their efforts will continue to be appreciated by generations after generations. Also speaking, the special advisor to the governor on political affairs, Alhaji Muniru Raji, lauded Senator Ademola Adeleke for his wonderful performance in less than a year in office.
And alhamdulillah that Osogbo is a peaceful place to live anytime, any day. I hope that our people will continue to live in peace and harmony.
Earlier in a sermon, the Grand Imam of Osun State, who is also the Chief Imam of Osogbo Land, Sheikh Musa Animasau, had appreciated the governor and members of his cabinet for working around the clock to bring development to every corners of Osun State. Sheikh Animasau congratulated the state for the 32nd anniversary and called on residents to be wary of their conducts, as every man will give account of their deeds on the day of reckoning. From Oshobo Central Mosque, it has been Abdurrahim Adeklekun reporting.
Meanwhile, Osun State Governor Senator Ademola Adeleke has said that leadership positions should be seen as a tool for service to the people, urging leaders to have fear of God as foundation of leadership success. Governor Adeleke made the assertion at a 3-day executive retreat organized by the African Office of the United Nations Development Program ongoing at Kigali, the capital of Rwanda. He was speaking as part of 16 state governors who attended the retreat. The governor attributed challenges facing democracy in Africa to the refusal of elected officials to deploy state power in service of the people and a follow-up trend of resisting free and fair electoral process. The statesman maintained that democracy can only survive in Africa when leaders allow free and fair elections and elected leaders serve the interests of the citizenry. While advancing the importance of due process and rule of law for democratic survival, a continental leader, Mr. Donald Kaberuka, in his submission emphasized the essence of contemporary leadership in a rapidly changing world. According to him, legal compliance, legitimacy, and empathy and pivotal attributes, calling for fair governance as a central theme and stressing the importance of inclusive leadership. Governors from Nigeria who attended the retreat include those of Oyo, Abia, Anambra, Benue, Zamfara, Delta, Ekiti, Enugu, Jigawa, Kaduna, Lagos, Niger, Nasarawa, Taraba, Sokoto, and Cross Rivers were represented by the deputies. Special guests include Mohamed Jaya, Nigeria country head for UNDP, who provided insight on technical capacities such as AI and climate change. The federal government has been charged to be more proactive towards palliative response in cushioning the impact of the fuel subsidy removal. Speaking against the backdrop of Edo State Governor Mr. Godwin Obaseki's submission on the federal government's palliative, Public Affairs Analyst in Osun State, Mr. Funsho Babarindi, and Alhaji Moshood Olaoye said federal government needs to do more in easing the pains thrown up by subsidy removal. Sanya Onanidi asked more.
Addressing journalists in Benin, Edo State capital, the Edo State Governor, Mr. Godwin Obaseki, said he was shocked and scared of the federal government's inability to plan and effectively respond to the fuel subsidy removal that has further impoverished the citizenry. Mr. Obaseki, who faulted the palliative response of the federal government, recalled that he raised the alarm following the mismanagement of the country's economy, noting that the country's situation has taken turn for the worse due to bad policies by the federal government. He said with the subsidy removal and the alignment of the exchange rate, it is pretty much certain that the era of free money has come to an end, and consequently exposing weakest and the most vulnerable in the society to a painful reality. Reflecting on Governor Obaseki's observation of the country's political and economic situation, Mr. Funsho Babarindi said the governor was spot on the carelessness of the part of the federal government regarding the fuel subsidy removal and the palliative.
This is not the first time that Governor Obaseki will be talking about economy. Being an investment person and somebody who's in finance circle, we never took him serious when he told us some years back that Buhari administration are printing money. Now, they eventually took to the National Assembly as ways and means. Everybody was like, he's an alarmist. Now, he told us that, yes, the government was supposed to stop subsidy by June. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu said he has removed it immediately he was sworn in as the president, but after removing it, 2-3 months after now, nothing is happening.
In his perspective, Alhaji Moshood Olaoye argued that the federal government has done the needful on subsidy removal and working assiduously on palliatives in cushioning the impacts.
I think the federal government would do something like encourage all citizens of the country to open an account where they can transfer the palliative to directly. They will have a lot of mayor to scrutinize, to select who are those that will be beneficiaries. Perhaps they use a benchmark of what you have in your account or the status of some people in the society. If everybody could open their account through the DFN, they can scrutinize who are those that are really in need and send directly to them.
The federal government recently approved 5 billion naira as well as considerable numbers of bags of rice and metric tons of maize to the 36 states of the Federation. But analysts maintain that even if fully implemented, it will remain a drop in the ocean. Saya Onoide reporting for OSBC News.
Following its effort to add value to each agricultural value chain, the Federal Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development in Osun State has trained women and youth on value addition for yam, tagged emergency training of youth on yam processing, packaging, value addition and utilization in southern regions were attended by selected youths and women in Iwo, Isenyi and its environs. Omolaba Bade was at the event. A report is presented from our studios.
Speaking at the training held in Iwo, the State Coordinator of Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development in Osun State, Engineer Sunday Atoyebi, said the workshop aims to build the capacity of women and youth in the modern techniques for the processing of yam into different products. He added that the training is a practical one, which will lead to the springing up of many small-scale yam processing factories in order to reduce post-harvest losses and bring more money to the actors in the yam value chain. Engineer Atoyebi said the processing of yam tuber has been an age-long traditional method with little output, noting that when processed, it can be eaten by hand or mixed with other traditional and modern dishes. According to him, such factors contribute to make it the most nutritious food for the individual and commercially very important for any economy. He explained further that apart from serving as food, yam has a lot of industrial uses, particularly in Europe and Nigeria, where they use yam flour in the preparation of high-quality biscuits, bread, cakes, among others.
Other inputs to produce yam. Rather than engaging in drudgery, they want to remove the youth and the women to key into the program, that is cultivation of yam as a value chain or commodity. To know the methods, the technology, the input into yam production, so as to produce yam on large scale.
Also speaking, General Manager Osun State Agriculture and Rural Development, Mrs. Oluwakemi Fadari, said the choice of women and youth would not have been more appropriate when the role of women in nation building is considered, stressing that to get youth and women engaged, meaningful effort must be put in place to help empower them to contribute sufficiently and competently towards the social, economy and sustainable development of the country.
We provide employment for the unemployed. So we expect that the youth will see it as an opportunity to turn up our interest.
Taking participants through the training, the trainer, Mr. Fabumi, disclosed that the traditional processing techniques are laborious and yet cannot bring the desired output and income. Hence, a more scientific approach has been developed, adding that the capacity of women and youth who are already involved in the processing of yam needs to be developed. Hence the need for this training. Mr. Fabumi maintained that the training will expose participants of the workshop to modern way of yam processing. Speaking with OSBC News, one of the beneficiaries, Mrs. Caroline Olabi, promised to put the experience gained into use in order to better the economic situations around.
The preservation of yam flour, the ungrounded one, but I thought it's the same way you pack the postosi inside maize that you pack it inside the yam, but it was a different thing. So I gained a lot from this program.
Temitayo Abikoye reporting for OSBC News.
The Nigerian Army has buried no fewer than 20 officers and soldiers who were killed in action by terrorists in Niger State. Report indicates that the Minister of Defense, Abubakar Badaro, and his counterpart for State, Bello Mutawali, as well as the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, were at the burial. The military last week revealed that 36 personnel were slain during an ambush by terrorists at Zungeru Tegena Road and the jet crash in Chukuba area of Shiroro, all in Niger State. Meanwhile, gunmen have killed the retired president of the Customary Court of Appeal, Makurdi, Benue State, Justice Margaret Igbeta. Her remains were said to have been discovered by her son at a residence located at Wage Street opposite the School of Medicine, Benue State University, Boko Road. A source close to the family said at the time a corpse was found in her residence, the body has started to decompose. The source further said the murder has been reported to the Hill Division Police Station, Makurdi. This is the news across the country coming to you from Osun State Broadcasting Corporation, Voice of the West, Nigeria. Now, Ahmed News message. It takes sadness to know what happiness is. It takes noise to appreciate silence. Silence is golden. Fashion News today focuses on women who prefer short hair cut or simply leave their hair to grow and style it nicely with hair accessories. Oluwadolapo Fayemi has more on this.
Each decade has had its unique style in terms of fashion, makeup, and hair. Hairstyles span through thousands of years and is an important reflection of cultural, social, and technological development through human history from ancient to modern times. Hairstyles have been used to convey status, identity, and personality, which has evolved to reflect changing attitude towards beauty and fashion. The African woman's imagination was often reflected in her hairstyles. In the 90s, there were numerous hairstyles such as Kolese, Patewo, Shuku, Didi, All Back, and many more. Even though the hairstyles are now being embraced by the new generation, there is no telling how long this trend would last. In a chat with OSBC Fashion News, a teacher, Mrs. Elizabeth Olawuyi, said hairstyles have evolved in different ways and have been the woman's identity for a long time.
Because it makes us look African and show our culture. We have the different way of making our hairs that when anybody sees you, we know that